Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I'm a mental health advocate, particularly with OCD. I do public speaking on stigma reduction, and I also do coaching for ERP therapy with effective OCD treatment here in Denver. Yay! Thanks so much for being here today. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about first. Today, and that's about OCD. Okay, so you may think this. You may think, oh, okay, so someone is diagnosed with OCD, and look, there's treatment available. Yay, go do it. Why aren't you doing it? Okay, OCD treatment is not that easy. It's not something that you really are going to want to just, jump on the bandwagon and go all smiles to be like, I can't wait to do this. And so let me just explain just really quickly, and then I'll get to some common secondary questions. I was so lucky when I was diagnosed with OCD and went through treatment that the internet was not as huge as it is now. If I had known what ERP, which is exposure response prevention therapy, is, if I had known what it is, I would have been even more terrified than I was at the time in going through the treatment. Exposure therapy is, think about what your worst possible fear is, whatever it is. It doesn't matter if you have OCD or not. Think about it. And then I want you to think, okay, I'm going to have to somehow start facing that fear, the possibility that maybe it's real, or maybe it's not, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that. And you're forced to have to do this in order to get better. It's terrifying. It's like if you're deathly afraid of spiders, and then all of a sudden the therapist goes, oh, by the way, we're going to put you in the room with a tarantula and it's going to crawl all over you. And you would go, hell no, right? Exposure response prevention would be how you would start to expose yourself to the spider until you get to the point where you see it's not really the spider that you're afraid of. It's the anxiety and the fear of the spider. I mean, spiders, I'm afraid of them too. So I'm not saying that spiders aren't fearful or to be afraid of, because I hate them. I'm sorry, I just do. I would take a snake any day over a spider. Anyway, okay, so today therapy is a whole other little video, but I want to talk to you today about some of the reasons why people won't do therapy, the secondary fears that are very common amongst people who suffer with OCD. Okay. The first one. All of these, by the way, I experienced and sometimes still do. And I'm in recovery. What if the therapy works for everyone but me? Oh, hugely common. I mean, if I was an OCD specialist and I'm not, I would be like, yep, hear this all the time. And I'm not speaking for OCD specialists, but I know this is a very common fear. That was the first thing I asked my specialist. I said, what if everybody, what if it's effective for everybody else, but it's not effective for me? And my therapist went, maybe it won't be. And I was like, because OCD specialists do not give reassurance. Now you may think, I know, and I hate them for it. And trust me, I hated my therapist for it too. But in the end, I understood why he couldn't do it and why, if he had, it would have actually made my symptoms worse. So what if the therapy works for everyone but me? The therapy works. If a therapist is working with you, chances are they probably don't want to waste their time if they don't think that you could be successful at it. I mean, I can't say whether it will or won't work. However, I do know one thing for certain, and that is ERP works, but you have to be 100% dedicated. Now, I'm not saying that therapy works for every single person. I'm just speaking from my own lived experience and the people that I work with Matt Miles for effective OCD treatment. It works if you're committed to it, which can be hard. And if it's not going to work for you, I do not believe an OCD specialist would take the time to say, I'm going to continue working with you, even though I think that it's not going to work. So the bottom line, though, is that is a very common fear, and it's something you have to work through on your own. You have to take the chance. Maybe this therapy won't work for me, but you know what? I'm going to give it a try anyway, and I'm going to give it 100%. Second one. Oh, God, this is my biggest one. Okay. What if the therapy proves that the thoughts are real? So the obsessions, right? So I have, or I had therapy for HOCD, which is homosexual OCD, okay? My biggest fear was that I was going to get in there and then I was going to go through the therapy, and at the end of our sessions, the therapist was going to go, okay, I know everything I need to know now, and it's time for you to come out of the closet. Now, remember, I don't think there's anything wrong with being gay, by the way. However, that's not something that I desired, or something about anything about my lifestyle that I wanted. I just don't like chicks. So, I mean, I like women as friends, but not in that capacity. I don't want to kiss them. So I was so scared that I was going to go through the therapy and that at the end it would be like, yeah, you don't have it. So this is another thing that, first of all, I can't give reassurance on because that's not part of the therapy. However, you aren't alone in thinking this. I have not worked with anybody that doesn't think this. Well, maybe, or what if I get through this and all of a sudden it proves that I do really want to hurt people, that I do want to, molest children, or I do want to rape someone, or I do, want to commit violent acts. Almost everyone I have ever worked with is terrified of therapy because of this. Again, I'm just going to emphasize, I don't believe an OCD specialist would work with you on OCD techniques if they didn't think that they could help you. I mean, they don't want to waste their time, and they don't want to waste your time. So you just have to trust the process. You have to live with the uncertainty, because they're probably not going to give you reassurance. I'm not going to give you reassurance. Nobody can. If someone reassures you, it's not even going to be enough anyway. I could tell you all day, oh yeah, the therapy would work. You wouldn't believe me because you'd still have that cycle of doubt in your mind. You know what I mean? It would just fuel it. So what I'm telling you now is there's no way of saying that the therapy is going to prove or disprove. However, what got me through therapy was my therapist was like, do the assignments, trust the process, and the outcome will be beneficial to you in the end. And I had to trust that. So it's important to get a therapist that you trust. Some therapists are super stringent. Mine was. He was like, I mean, seriously, I was like, this guy is so mean. I love him now. But there are some that are a little bit more laid back. Matt Miles is who I work with here at Effective OCD Treatment. He's super laid back. I mean, he doesn't give reassurance, but he's more, on the empathy path. And some people need that. So it is important to find the therapist that works the best with you. But no, you're going through therapy to get better. You're not going through to get all of these questions answered that are plaguing your mind. You're going through to learn how to live with these questions and be okay with them. Okay, the third one. What if I really don't have OCD and I am just a monster? I hear this more than anything, and I'm going to tell you, I am right there with you. Sometimes I get sexual intrusive thoughts, and I think to myself, what kind of monster am I to think this? So this is all the reassurance I'm going to give you today. First of all, every person in the world has intrusive thoughts. Everybody. If they say they don't, they're lying. And if they say they don't, they just don't want to say it because they're worried about saying it out loud because they have OCD. So either way, you win. Everybody has intrusive thoughts. Thoughts that you see that you go, why the hell did I just think that? And how do I stop? Most normal people will go, ugh, gross. Why did I just think about my parents screwing? Or why did I just think about my dog's balls? I don't know. Sorry, that's graphic, but still. They're going to think, why did I just think that? But then in a normal brain, they'll go, okay, I never want to think that again. I'm not going to worry about that anymore. In the OCD world, we try to define it. We try to put a label on it. We try to find the why. We try to find the how. We try to answer all the questions. I'm going to tell you what that does is it makes it worse. You had intrusive thoughts because you have intrusive thoughts. The end. That's it. Okay, you aren't a monster because you have intrusive thoughts. If that's the case, every person in this world is a monster. OCD wants to make you think that you're a monster because you need to know if it's true or not. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be able to find out if it's true or not by continuing to do compulsions. It will never work. It's never going to be the answer. It's just going to drive you mad the same way it did for me and the people that I work with. If you go to therapy and a therapist is working with you and they say, let's go with ERP and this is what we're going to do. Trust the process, give into it 100%, trust your therapist and take the risk and live with the uncertainty that you don't know what the outcome is going to be. But again, if a specialist is going to work with you, trust that that specialist is thinking to themselves, okay, I can help this person. So give it 100%. And I know it's scary. Listen, I'm not saying all this being like, just do it because it's so easy. Oh my God. It was turmoil for me going through ERP with all the secondary questions. But this is the one that I wanted to hit last because I think this one is such a huge deal. When you're starting to get better, whether or not you're doing ERP or whether or not you're doing mindfulness or whatever is working for you, the goal of getting better is to not have these horrible thoughts, right? Or to have the thoughts and not have them feel like this, right? Just like, clawing your brain. Well, when therapy or recovery starts happening, all of a sudden you might have the thoughts and then you don't react with anxiety. And this is what happens. Oh my God, why didn't I react with anxiety? Does that mean that I like the thoughts? Does that mean that I want the thoughts? I think I should have anxiety because wouldn't someone that didn't want these thoughts, wouldn't they have anxiety with these? Because I should be having anxiety because if I don't, that must mean that these thoughts are really real. So right there with you. I've been there with you. This is so common. What happens is for however many years, and I'm just using years because I don't know if you've had it that way, but for most people, they will have obsessions, especially with pure sexual or violent intrusive thoughts. They will have thoughts for years, and their sole purpose is to avoid having those thoughts, to avoid having the groinal syndrome, to avoid giving any sort of energy towards them, whatever, just avoiding in general, because avoiding is a compulsion. Now you're starting to get better. But the thoughts are still there, but you're not reacting. I'm going to tell you that means because you're getting better. The worst part about going into ERP therapy is hearing this. Oh, well, the therapy isn't going to make the thoughts go away. And then you go, why am I giving you money? I was like, give me my money back when he said that, but it's true. Just like I told you before, every person that walks the face of this planet has intrusive thoughts. So what the therapy, no matter what therapy you're doing that's working, what the therapy teaches you is you're going to have these thoughts, but they're not going to plague you. They're not going to trap you. You're not going to be on fire in your brain all the time because of them. I'm going to teach you how to just let the thoughts be there and be like, oh, there it goes. Oh, goodbye. I'm not going to react. And that scares the crap out of us because we have spent so much time making sure. Shit. Okay, Wendy, if you're watching this, I did not fall off the chair, but I almost just dropped the camera. Anyway, we spent so much time trying to avoid these thoughts being for real, okay? That when the idea that we can actually not have the thoughts and start to live a productive life, it's almost like Stockholm syndrome. That's probably like the wrong terminology to use, but I'm just using it. We want to go back in because it's the only thing that makes us feel comfortable. And it's the only thing that can help us feel normal when we're having awful thoughts that make us seem like a monster. Okay? So when telling you that, I just want you to know that you're not alone. These are common fears. And to kind of wrap this all up, just because you have these fears does not mean you still can't get better. And I want you to hear that, and I want you to plant that seed in your head and know that a lot of people feel this way, but what you can do is you can drop it right there in your ERP or mindfulness or whatever you're using to get better. Drop it in there and go, you know what? Maybe this is a real fear. Maybe it is going to come true. I don't know. I'm going to take the risk and live with the uncertainty. You are not alone in this. And that's the thing. That's the reason why I love doing peer support and I love working with people going through ERP therapy, because these things come up and it is a barrier to doing therapy. it becomes the reason why you don't want to do therapy, or the reason why therapy can't be successful, because you hit up against these huge fears and you think, I'm the one exception that can't work. I'm here to tell you, okay, listen carefully. You are not an exception. No one is an exception. Whether you have OCD, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, ADD, I don't care what you have, you are not the exception. Everybody deserves recovery. Everybody can live in recovery. Do not give up, okay? You're not alone no matter what you're going through. So those are the 4 questions I wanted to address today. The reason why I wanted to address them is that I hear this all the time in the people that I'm working with. And to be honest with you, I think these too. And so again, I'm throwing it out there so I don't feel so alone. But I want to encourage you, when you bump up against these fears and these questions, reach out to people who have been through the therapy and say, hey, did you experience this? No question is going to sound weird. No question is going to sound creepy or freaky or whatever. Chances are most people have gone through it. So don't be afraid to reach out for help. If you are looking for a therapist in your area, go to www.iocdf.org. This is the International OCD Foundation website. You can find therapists that are available in your area. Do not go to a therapist that does not specialize in OCD and treats OCD with ERP. Don't do it. Don't waste your money. Also, if you want more information about Puro or articles in general, go to johnhirschfield.com, HERSHFIELD.com, or OCDonline.com. And by the way, next time I do a video, which is going to be in a couple weeks, I'll have my book with me. Yay! It's somewhere over there. I don't have it right now. And it will be for sale. And it's the memoir and story of my life with pure OCD, sexual intrusive thoughts, and scrupulosity. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. It can be so lonely getting therapy. It can be so lonely with OCD, but I just want you to know you're not the only one out there. Help is available, and you deserve recovery. Have a lovely weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye.